So this is one of those cases that I'm very glad I did not do the video last night, like I was planning on doing. I was actually planning on watching both NXT and Impact and then shooting the video afterwards, kind of like how I used to do the Raw recaps, and get you guys the video probably after about 1 o'clock in the morning. But that was not to be, and I was like, I'm tired, I'm going to go to bed. Well, I woke up this morning, scratching my face, obviously, because you always itch when you're on camera for some reason. At least I do. And lo and behold, brand new breaking news that actually could technically be about both shows. I just found out. Now, as of about, I don't know, maybe 15 minutes ago, I'd say so, give or take a few, Dave Meltzer, who of course is one of the proponents of wrestling journalism on the internet, has stated that Samoa Joe has officially signed with WWE, which means there's a really good chance you're going to see him in the NXT roster very, very soon. Now, I know what you're thinking. He signed a short-term deal with Ring of Honor, and he's going to honor those dates, pun not intended. He has 4 dates with ROH. And then after that is over, he's going to, if everything works to what we think it's going to work, he'll probably report to NXT. Samoa Joe and NXT. Oh my God, this is going to be awesome. If it happens, it's going to be amazing. Now, in 2004, there was a match that was between the then Mr. Wrestling Kevin Steen and Samoa Joe that took place on an independent show. And could you imagine that match now? Joe and Steen one more time. Obviously, he's Kevin Owens now, but still, Joe and Owens. Oh my God. That's all I have to say. Now, I won't get complete confirmation on if this is completely true while we're on the camera, so I'll probably talk about it during next week's video because I really can't talk about it after the fact. Still not watching Raw. Still not watching SmackDown. Only watching NXT and Impact, and I'm okay with that. Speaking of NXT, let's talk NXT, shall we? This week's NXT, of course, is just another show, not building towards anything. We're constantly building towards the next takeover, and I'm guessing via the taping schedule, the next takeover is not going to be till April. It sounds to me like there's going to be a takeover every other month. I'm completely fine with that, because if that's the case, we'll have takeover shows in April, and June, and August, and October, which could be a double-edged sword, it kind of depends. I might be able to make that one. And December, which I probably won't because it'll probably be too late in the month, and I'll be getting out of town really early this year. So the show starts out with Hideo Itami. He comes out and he's facing off against Bull Dempsey. A very interesting matchup to start off the show, to say the least. So we pick it up when Bull is in control. He drops 2 elbows and he hits the chin lock. Well, Itami elbows his way out, and he gets clubbed to the back of the neck. Bull goes for the backdrop suplex. Itami floats over, lands on his feet, clothesline. Hideo comes off the ropes, and Bull runs him over with a Vader attack. Makes cover 1-2 and a kick out. So Bull picks him up. Hideo breaks his grip, forearm, round kick, spinning back kick, which I don't think was supposed to drop Bull into the corner, because it seems like they repeat the spot a minute later. It seems like that was setting up for the hesitation drop kick, but Bull went down. So I'm guessing he got legitimately knocked down. So he kind of got knocked off his feet, so they had to change the spot. That's my guess. Because the next thing he does, he hits the Kenta Rush and another spinning back kick. Finally hits the hesitation drop kick and finishes off Bull with the running kick. So yeah, oh how the mighty have fallen. Not a big deal, though. Bull was in charge of pretty much this entire match until Hideo came back at the very end and put him away. This match was alright for what it was, but basically what it was done in order to do was to put over a new feud that we're going to be going into, which I'm extremely excited about. And that is Hideo Itami versus Prince Pretty himself, Tyler Breeze. Hideo gets to the top of the ramp. He looks up, and you can see him out of the corner of his eye looking back to make sure Tyler's in the right position. And when he turns around, wham, supermodel kick, leaves him laying. And he uses that furry selfie stick, which is the bane of my existence. In both companies, there's a selfie stick. And they're called different things in both companies. One's called a selfie stick and one's called an Ussy stick. But we'll talk about that later. To try to take a picture of the downed Tommy. And he backs up down the ramp. He tries to do it. He walks down the ramp a little bit further, and he's wasted way too much time, because the next thing you know, Tommy is up behind him, and he chases him down and clotheslines him into the ring apron, tosses him into the ring. He hits a couple clotheslines. Excuse me. He ducks the clothesline of Tyler Breeze. 2-round kick, spinning back kick. Tyler powders and heads for the hills, but doesn't go up the ramp. He actually heads through, like, the side of the arena, like, opposite camera side that is not have any people in it. And I know what you're thinking. It doesn't sound strange at all, but trust me, if you've been to the Full Sail building, you know exactly what I'm talking about. We get a video package for the returning the Brian Kendrick, which is the last time we have seen Brian Kendrick in a long time. That was the last gimmick he had in WWE before he transitioned over to working for TNA. Brian Kendrick, of course, if you were not aware, the former Spanky, Z1's Leonardo Spanky, because he looks like DiCaprio, and now he's rocking the Brian Pillman look. I like this, always have. I will say that he is not one of, he is literally part of the longest reigning WWE Tag Team Champions in company history with his tag team partner Paul London. And as I said, obviously, we know Brian Kendrick, we know his pedigree, and it's nice to see him get a shot at WWE again, just like Rhino, and we'll talk about Rhino in a little bit. So in our next match, it is tag team action. It is the Lucha Dragons, Kalisto and Sin Cara, taking on the team we haven't seen for a minute, Jason Jordan and Ty Dillinger. And before this happens, you have, of course, a nice interruption from Solomon Crow, because apparently Solomon Crow controls everything. That's what happens when you're a hacker. And he says that he's going to be NXT champion. Last week was a statement, and he won't rest until he's champion. And then after that, after this, he says that, I'm going to read this correctly, you've been warned. And then he returns us to our regular scheduled programming. I like how he has this tablet where he controls all of the television production. That's a pretty freaking wicked tablet, if he can control TV production with it. So we pick it up midway through the match. Jordan cuts off Kalisto with a knee lift, and Tylix with a tag. And of course, Jordan's like, you know what? I got him. Don't worry about it. And he goes for a front face lock, gets countered into a hammer lock, shoves off to the ropes, tag into Sin Cara. Kalisto drops down on all fours, and we get the schoolyard trip on Jason Jordan. Sin Cara hits a slingshot senton 1-2 and a kick out, so Jordan with a right hand cuts him off. A headbutt. Tiger looks for the tag again. Jordan goes, relax. Frankie says relax, but apparently Jason Jordan does too. So Sin Cara swats away Jordan, and a drop kick. Tags in Kalisto, he comes in, springboard, leaps over, and lands on his feet. Springboard corkscrew press off the middle rope, and he hits a spinning back kick, a round kick, and a wrist lock. Jordan boots him to break up his momentum, and he clubs him in the back. Jordan goes for a tag, and no. Ty Dillinger leaves him. So yeah, this is weird, and he eats a Salida del Sol, and tagging to Sin Cara, he hits the Senton, and yes, I think they're finally calling it that, so that's the end of that. We get Finn Balor in the back with my good friend Greg Hamilton, and he's talking about how he's going to deal with Kevin Owens, but that's not his mission tonight. His mission tonight is to get past Brian Kendrick first, obviously, because he needs to focus on Kendrick. I need to focus on Kendrick on a regular basis, but I'm not talking about Brian, I'm talking about Anna. But that's another story altogether for a completely different time. So Dillinger's in the ring, he demands to hear from Jason Jordan, and that doesn't happen. Here comes Baron Corbin, and he squashes him in 19 seconds with the end of days. That's the end of that. nothing I really can say about that. Devin Taylor's in the back with Charlotte, and Charlotte basically says that she understands that she's all high and mighty now because she finally beat Charlotte, but the fact remains, in a singles match, Sasha just can't get the job done. We get Tyler Breeze in the back, and he basically calls Hideo Itami a cockroach that's going to be squished by his own trap. So, curious to see where we go with that. Next, we have women's action. Bayley against Becky Lynch. This match was good as well. Very much enjoyed this. So we pick it up off the midway point, and Becky is locked on a modified Shinamaki or cover clutch, depending on who's calling your match. Bayley elbows her way out, hits the European uppercut. Bayley goes down. Becky charges in, and Bayley uses the sidestep to send her through the middle rope, but she lands on the ring apron so doesn't go to the floor. Forearm, and sends Becky off the apron to the floor. Bayley hits an awkward sliding dropkick under the bottom rope, which looks like it barely connected, but to the power of editing, it didn't look as bad as it could have. God, I can only imagine what it looked like before. It was like an extreme slow motion. Tosses her in, Becky cuts her off with a knee, and whip in, ducks her head down. Of course, you don't do that, you get telegraphed, and Bayley tosses her to the ropes, hits her Sheamus offense. 2 axe handles, goes for the third, Becky ducks it, knee lift cuts her off. Bayley with a drop toe hold into a rollover into a side headlock and starts pounding away at the top of the head. She goes for a charging shoulder, roll back, charges in with the elbow, puts her on the buckle, climbs up, and she gets shoved off, arm first, across the top rope because Becky was working the arm the entire match, so that's the reason why it doesn't make any sense out of context. Ducks the swing, and Bayley ends up with a waistlock, standing switch reversal. Bayley holds on into the top rope, and of course that does not work because she ends up catching Becky off guard with a spinning back elbow off the middle buckle. Gets a 2 count off of that, and she's going for her hugplex, or Bayley to belly, and gets countered into a modified Fujiwara armbar, which she rolls in with a really tight head scissor, and she pulls back on the arm, kind of like a Jujigatami, but a lot more devastating looking, and Bayley just has to give it up. So, great back and forth match between Bayley and Becky Lynch. I enjoyed this match a lot. I wish I would have gotten water before I started this. I say right now that the women's division in NXT and also in TNA are pretty spectacular. WWE, please take notice. Runner's in the back, and he's here to reignite his fire, and the only way to do that is basically to gore people. And Jason Jordan says he has no explanation why he left. So, still not sure why there's a dissension between Ty Dillinger and Jason Jordan. It kind of came out of nowhere. It doesn't make much sense. Sometimes it just doesn't. Alright, we're going to build a match between the two very soon. Main event time, Finn Balor taking on the Brian Kendrick, and we've got Kevin Owens on commentary. Of course, he is scouting his future opponent, because obviously Finn Balor is officially the #1 contender to the NXT Championship. And during this match, Kevin Owens and Alex Riley were going back and forth, and Alex Riley, of course, had to throw the, "How could you do this to your brother, man? How could you do this to your best friend?" And Owens is like, you know, sometimes you just gotta do what you gotta do, and I'm a champion, and I got to stay a champion, obviously. I've got to fight, and hey, you wouldn't know that because you never were a champion. And it's like, ooh, low blow. So Owens eventually leaves midway through the match, and he says, "I'm going to leave now before I do something I'll regret later." So we pick up the match in the ring. Kendrick charges in, Balor gets the boots up, hits 2 forearms off the ropes, and chops him, whips him to the opposite corner. Chop again, whips him to the opposite corner, and no, he doesn't complete the rotation through the circle, the square. No, he does decide to whip him into the buckle again, and then with a double chop, gets a 2 count off of that. Whips him in his reverse to whip Kendrick into the opposite corner. Very nice move there. Finn charges in, gets the boot up, and of course, you have Kendrick on the middle turnbuckle. It's a swing DDT. 1-2 and a kick out, goes up top, hits a missile drop kick, and nails a really wicked release tiger suplex, and gets a 2 off of that on a weird pinning attempt. He goes for the Kendrick, which apparently is the new NXT name for sliced bread #2, which is the second time someone's going to talk about that in this video, even though technically the second time is not real because it's an acid drop, not a sliced bread. Anyway, completely different. So, at this point, Balor hits the lariat because when he went for it, he floated over, he landed on his feet, Balor lariated him, spun him like a top, nailed the sling blade off the ropes, hit the shotgun drop kick, and of course that sent Kendrick hard into the buckle, and coup de grace finishes, and that's the end of that. So, match over. Kevin Owens walks down the ramp again. He makes his presence known by going over to the announce desk, and he throws Alex Riley over the announce table. So I'm guessing we're building something that, and the show ends with Kevin Owens leaving and Finn Balor in the ring just watching what had transpired. I like this a lot. I like the return of Rhino, and I like what they're doing with the Brian Kendrick. I guess the people that are coming in are going to work with Finn Balor, because Rhino did, or he's going to very soon, and the Brian Kendrick did. So that's what I meant to say. That means that if Samoa Joe comes in, Samoa Joe and Finn Balor. Yes, please. It's interesting that these two get paired up against each other, because they have met before. I'm sure they've met other times, but they were both part of the 2012 Super Tag Junior Tournament. Super Junior Tag Tournament. Good Lord, it's been a long week, sorry. In New Japan, and they were both on opposite teams. Brian Kendrick teaming up with Low Ki, who I will be talking about later on in this video when we start talking about Impact, in a team called the Chaos World Wrestling Warriors. Try to say that 5 times fast. And Balor, of course, teaming up with his partner Ryusuke Taguchi in Apollo 55. They faced off in the first round of the tournament, and of course, Balor got the win for his team. So yeah, that was interesting, and they faced off in the main event of NXT. I enjoyed this a lot. Obviously, we're building toward the fact that Alex Riley definitely wants to get back in the ring, and it seems like that may end up happening sooner rather than later, because why have 2 former wrestlers on commentary? Because obviously you already have Corey Graves, so you don't really need Alex Riley too, but then again, that negates the fact that usually Corey Graves is there with Albert. So, and it's interesting how the way they went with that. I do think we're going to lead towards an Alex Riley-Kevin Owens match. I know for a fact that does happen, but we can't really talk about that until we progress. Next week, we've got Charlotte and Sasha for the NXT Women's Championship in a match that could main event this show. And just spectacular match. I'm looking forward to it. Hideo Itami going to be feuding with Tyler Breeze. I love this. I love this a lot. 2 superstars that I thought were kind of lost in the shuffle. Put them against each other. Let them feud with each other. I think that'll work really well. And hopefully that'll bring Tyler Breeze back to prominence yet again. Bull Dempsey kind of lost in the shuffle. It's okay. I think he'll be fine. Maybe Rhino squashes him down the line too. The dissension between Jason Jordan and Ty Dillinger just kind of came out of nowhere. Don't understand why they're doing it. I do know down the line that there is something that does happen that after they have split, so that they had to get to that apparently. And obviously these teams are probably not in contention for Blake and Murphy right now, because they're just not. I mean, Dragons do have a rematch, I guarantee that, but Jordan and Dillinger are obviously not going to team together again, so it doesn't really matter. Bayley and Becky Lynch. I love Becky's new submission hold. His head scissor cross arm breaker. I like that a lot. He basically just hyperextend the elbow is what it looks like. It looks vicious as all get out. And I'm really curious to see what happens with that. Maybe Becky Lynch will be the next challenger for the Boss. So the former BFFs go at it one-on-one. I do say that one day down the line, Bayley is going to make her presence known, and she will be NXT Women's Champion, but it may not happen as early as I thought it would. I do think right now that there's another good possibility that we're going to see. I know for a fact we're going to see Sami Zayn address the NXT crowd next week, so we can talk about that next week. And the main event, Finn Balor and the Brian Kendrick, really good match, really good back and forth match, good feeling out process, start the match off, and then it went all the way into a lot of no finishers galore either. They didn't trade finishers back and forth. It worked really well, and it was a good match. So that'd be NXT. Still the best wrestling show on television right now that I'm watching. I don't watch Lucha Underground. I haven't had a chance yet. I haven't watched the ROH pay-per-view. I probably will eventually. But yeah, NXT, Awesome. Just awesome. Alright. Let's talk Impact, shall we? Kurt Angle comes out. He calls out Bobby Lashley. Lashley does come out. He says, you know what, you don't have to respect me, but you have to respect the championship. Lashley says tonight is his fight. He doesn't need any help from anyone, especially not Kurt Angle. And Angle basically just walks out and says, okay, fine. Have it your way. Here comes the Beatdown Clan. Samoa Joe calls Bobby Lashley a sellout when he left the Beatdown Clan because he left his brothers aside. Because they got him the championship. You know, he's right. Wrong logic, but he's right. He owes everything to the Beatdown Clan. MVP will take the championship by any means necessary. Nation of Domination rules. And he makes the comment that BDC are a collective. Lashley's only out for himself. He's got no one to help him. And by the end of the night, the Beatdown Clan will get the TNA World Heavyweight Championship. Good start to the show. Playing up on the main event, of course, the Lashley MVP main event we have for the night. We got our first match, which is tag team action. It is Rockstar Spud and Mr. Anderson taking on Ethan Carter III and Tyrus. Of course, Mandrews and Spud scalped Tyrus last week, so now he's wearing a skull cap with the Thing logo on it, which is kind of cool. And Rockstar Spud comes out, interrupts Mr. Anderson's, Mr. Anderson! Spud grabs the mic, and Rockstar Spud. And then Anderson's like, and Rockstar Spud, Anderson! And it made me laugh. It made me laugh a lot, actually. So we pick it up off the midway point here. He charges in, eats the headbutt from Tyrus, and drops the headbutt downstairs on Mr. Anderson behind the referee's back. Tyrus pie faces Rockstar Spud off the ring apron to knock him off. Scoop slam, tag in EC3, and he makes a cover to try to steal the pinball and gets a 2 count off of it. Spud comes in, and Hebner's distracted, and they work over Anderson in the corner. A step over chin lock, which is kind of like a modified camel clutch, but not completely. Anderson elbows his way out, comes off the ropes, eats the back elbow, and tags in Tyrus. Tyrus basically punches him in the throat. Scoop slam, goes for the Vader bomb in the corner, he misses. Rockstar Spud tagged in, 2 big forearms, rocks the big man while he's on his knees. Doesn't drop him though. A Shining Wizard does. And he hits the acid drop, which is now appropriately named the Underdog, on Tyrus, and EC3 from behind to break up the pin, and Anderson comes in, low blows Tyrus since the referee's still distracted, hits the mic check, and Spud makes the pin, 1, 2, 3. It was okay. Good way to start off the show. Got the crowd into it. Obviously, we're playing a lot up on British Boot Camp since we're over on the UK tour. Probably won't see this as much. No Mandrews this week. I'm not really exactly sure why he wasn't in Anderson and Spud's corner, since Mandrews has been so pro Rockstar Spud in this entire storyline. But maybe, I don't know, maybe Tyrus took him out. I mean, that wasn't mentioned, but maybe Tyrus took him out after he got scalped last week on the show. Which he looks a lot better with a bald head. I mean, with a bald head and that ginormous, like, beekeeper beard, the beard that you would see at, like, a local fair where you have, which you have the bee beard, he kind of looks like somebody I know personally. So yeah, wrestling fan used to come to the show a long time ago. So yeah, I thought that was interesting. So EC3 is throwing a hissy fit in the back, and he's got the clippers, and he says he's going to scalp Rockstar Spud before the night's over, and he calls him a little bastard. Alright, fair enough. Taryn Terrell comes out. She says that winning the Knockouts Championship was a huge accomplishment. She knows Awesome Kong wants that title. She tells her to come and get it. Here comes Gail Kim instead. He's like, you don't know what you're getting yourself into. I respect you, but you need to understand your boundaries here. See, if you thought Havoc was tough, Kong's 1,000,000 times tougher. She's the toughest woman to ever step foot in the ring. I think that's really hard to ignore. That as a possibility. She's at least one in the top 10, if not the top 5. Taryn, on the other hand, is a fighter, and she's a champion, just like Gail was. She needs to fight Kong for herself. And Gail's like, yeah, fine, sure. She leaves. About this time, Kong appears in the ring. Taryn takes it to her for a moment, and she gets mowed over with a shoulder block. Laid out with the implant buster, she grabs the Knockouts Championship, and she holds it high above the fallen body of Taryn Terrell. We are going to get a three-way feud for the Knockouts Championship between Taryn, Gail, and Kong, and I have zero issues with this. For those of you that have not watched the classic battles that Gail Kim has had with Kong, that's pretty much the end game here. And to throw Taryn Terrell in here, someone that improved to a point that no one ever thought she would, knowing her back when she was first starting out in wrestling, it just seemed like she would be just another pretty face. And she is a very pretty face, but she actually can go. She's a stunt woman, so she knows what she's doing. And those matches she had with Gail Kim, the last Knockout Standing match of Slammiversary, I believe it was the pay-per-view, I can't remember off the top of my head. But yeah, the last Knockout Standing match was awesome. And yeah, I'm really curious to see where we go with this. The Beatdown Clan are kind of having a little strategy meeting, and the cameras catch it. They're basically saying they're to make sure the championship come back to them. And basically they catch them watching the BDC talk, and they slam the door. Austin Aries is basically going to be watching the main event and preparing himself to get his work boots on, because who knows, maybe tonight we'll get a surprise ending. Of course, Aries talking about cashing in his Feast or Fired briefcase, which probably won't happen. But our next match, it is a mixed tag team match. It is Robbie E and Angelina Love representing the Bromans with DJ Zema Ion, who of course is wearing a paintball mask for some stupid reason. And, excuse me. His tag team partner, Jesse Goddard, obviously, they're at ringside, and they're facing off against the team of Brooke and Chris Melendez, who this is the first time I've seen him in a match. He's okay. I mean, he has an issue why he can't be any faster than he is. He's kind of crisp, given the fact that he's basically on one leg right now. I mean, he's got the prosthetic, but still, I mean, he's okay. I mean, Melendez is fine. So, yeah, this match was short. We almost got an in-ring match between Robbie E and Brooke, but of course that never happened, because in these matches, men don't face women and women don't face men. So that didn't end up happening. Brooke hits a flapjack on Angelina Love, and DJZ's on the ring apron for distraction. That allows Melendez to punch him off the ring apron, which allows him to get distracted. Brooke heads up top and gets shoved off the top by Robbie E, who steals the pin, and that's the end of that. Robbie does a weird cartwheel, and they take an Ussie with the fallen Brooke. This is okay. It's filler, but it's entertaining filler. Maybe Brooke will meet someone else, and they'll actually pair her with someone, not Melendez, someone else. I mean, I think that needs to happen sooner rather than later, so hopefully they do something with this. I don't know why Zemo was wearing the paintball mask. Made no sense to me. So, Ethan Carter III basically played his best Cliff Compton. He grabbed his clippers, and he backs Bud into the corner, and he basically was like, "Time to die!" Even though he didn't say that, he basically said it's scalping time. And then we went to commercial. And this whole commercial break, he basically, held Rockstar Spud without scalping him, and Mr. Anderson was searching frantically for his buddy, and of course, he ended up finally finding him. And he stopped him just in the nick of time. Yay. Sometimes that just doesn't make any sense. Tyrus makes a save when EC3 gets cornered, and Anderson ends it with Buzz. So yeah, I think we're doing a hair versus hair match between EC3 and Rockstar Spud somewhere down the line. I think that's probably going to be the end game here. Gunner meets Kurt Angle in the back, and because Angle's about to leave because his Lashley doesn't want his help, so why we stick around? And he says, you know what? You need to get it together. You need to understand the situation. Lashley may not need the help, but the Beatdown Clan, if they win the championship, all hell's going to break loose. So we need to stop this. And he slaps Kurt Angle in the face, and it kind of makes him mad, obviously, because he's just got slapped in the face. So that fires him up. So Austin Aries comes out. He says he has the power with the briefcase. What if he decided to use it tonight? Here comes Samoa Joe. He comes out. He says, you got no chance to cash in tonight. Aries calls Joe MVP's errand boy and asks if he'll get him some tea and rub his feet tonight. Excuse me. Joe wants a fight. Aries says, you know what, you want to fight? Then you got it. And he hits the heat-seeking missile, and when we come back to commercial break, we have our match, Austin Aries, Samoa Joe. This match was really good. Really, really good. So Aries hits the neck snap on Joe across the top rope, slingshot senton, and leaping elbow. Joe trying to roll away, but he landed on the upper back, makes the cover. 1 count only, because Joe pressed him off. So 6 overhand shots, whip in, charges in, leaps in with the elbow in the corner onto Joe, snapmare, and goes to the middle turnbuckle with the missile drop kick, 1-2, and a kick out. So a brainbuster is blocked, and it's blocked again, and Joe ends up picking up Aries and hangs him out to dry across the top rope, nails a modified Yakuza kick and knocks him off the apron to the floor. So Joe goes out and hunts Aries, and he rams him back first into the ring steps very slowly. And he whips Aries upside down into the aforementioned ring steps, tosses him in, kicks him in the ribs, starts stomping away viciously on Austin Aries. 2 chops and an overhand chop as Aries trying to fight his way up to his feet, and he does so. Aries comes off the ropes, Joe cuts him off with a knee, the good old kitchen sink there, and a headbutt by Samoa Joe to the kidneys of Aries, which is something we don't see very often. Short arm, forearm, and they trade forearms. Aries hits 7 in succession, comes off the ropes, gets caught, inverted atomic, you know where we're going with this. Yakuza kick, senton backsplash, 1-2, and a kick out, locks in a bear hug. Aries tries to punch his way out, and he tries to ring his bell out, hits 8 of those, and Aries finally starts punching away. Joe stops momentum with the irate. So he comes off the ropes, front kick, and Joe charges in. Aries low bridge, Joe goes over the top rope to the floor. He heads up to the top, springboards like a cat, and he crowns Samoa Joe with the double axe handle. And heads up top when Joe gets back in the ring, hits the missile drop kick, charges in, going for the IED, it connects, brainbuster blocked again. Joe punches his way out one more time, headbutt, goes for the full Nelson, setting up for a dragon suplex. Thank you, Taz, for calling that there, even though it seemed extremely obvious. Aries looked like he was going to do his very best Bret Hart here and try to spring off the buckle and pinch Joe's shoulders to the canvas, but doesn't happen. He just grabs the rope and the referee calls for the break. There's a chop, puts Aries in the buckle, going for the muscle buster after the headbutt, gets countered, rolling elbow, short style, and he goes off the ropes, hits the rolling elbow, rolls him up, 1-2, and a kick out. Last chance is applied. Kenny King comes out of nowhere, jumps up on the ring apron, and that breaks up the submission hold. So he grabs the case. That distraction allows Samoa Joe to lock in the Coquina clutch, and Aries ducks his head. Joe gets sent head first into the Feaster Fired briefcase, which stuns him long enough for Austin Aries to hit the Ring of Honor World Championship combo, which is the Crucifix Driver into the 450 splash, and Austin Aries wins. Great finish. I enjoyed this, even though, like I said, I've seen it before. That's how Aries beat Joe in Ring of Honor, so it makes perfect sense. So after the match is over, the Beatdown Clan attack, which Low-Key comes in, and Kenny King comes in, and he starts with a big spine buster on Aries, leaves him laying. They grab a table. Joe locks in the Coquina clutch to make sure Aries is softened up enough. They put him on the table. Low-Key climbs to the top, hits the Warrior's Way, double foot stomp, and the table doesn't break. It just kind of cracks in half. It's like Botchamania. It's like the Japanese table. And Samoa Joe sees this, and since the table's kind of arched like this, Joe leaps up in the air, hits a senton backsplash, puts Aries to the table, which, great improv by Joe there for being able to do that. I like that a lot. That worked really well. Really great match between these two. Joe and Aries anytime, regardless if there's any chicanery or not, I don't care. It's Joe and Aries. It's always going to be good. Bobby Lashley says if MVP wants the championship, he's got to go through him to get it. He doesn't want or need Kurt Angle's help. So, okay. In the opposite side, MVP's talking with Eric Young, and he basically says, how do you feel the fact you finally got one over on Bobby Roode? You finally put him in the hospital for a change. He's like, feels great, but I still want revenge. And he's like, no, you don't need to be like that. But now I think about it, didn't Lashley put you in the hospital too? And he's like, yeah, he did. And he's like, you might want to get some revenge on that. And it's no disqualification, so anything can possibly happen. And you know what, Eric, you deserve to feel better. And he walks out and he basically says, you know what, you can change everything. Like, you can make the title change hands again. So obviously we're setting up Eric Young interfering in the main event. So the Beatdown Clan have stolen the Feaster Fired briefcase of Austin Aries. They give it to MVP. They basically said that that's going to end his chance to cash in now. We get a very short singles match between two British Boot Camp 2 contestants, Noam Dar and Rampage Brown. No contest. Bram comes out and lays them both out with the implant DDT. Calls out Magnus. He gets Grado instead, and Grado hits a couple snap jabs, but gets caught with the implant DDT and laid out. He calls out Magnus yet again, and Bram is basically on a collision course with Magnus. So I don't have a problem with this. It showcased British Boot Camp really well. I would have liked to see more from Noam Dar and Rampage Brown. It's funny because in real life, like, in reality, Noam Dar and Grado are like best friends, and in the show, Grado and Rampage Brown were like at each other's throats. If you watch the show, if you didn't, go back, find a way to watch it. It's entertaining. I like British Boot Camp. It's like tough enough, but it's interesting. It's not the same demographic. It's very strange. Our no disqualification match is our main event. MVP taking on the TNA World Heavyweight Champion Lashley. So we pick it up midway through the match after the commercial break, of course. MVP tosses Lashley and makes a 1 count and makes a cover, hooks the leg this time, gets a 1 count off of that. So 3 knees and a snapmare, kicks him in the spine, and he comes off the ropes, boots him in the top of the head, gets a 2 off of that. So they trade blows when they get both back up to their feet. European uppercut to a DDP-style discus lariat, gets a 2 off of that. So he chokes him on the ropes, and Joe is choking him behind the referee's back, which makes no sense behind the referee's back because it's no DQ. And before this match went into commercial, they were trying to eject the Beatdown Clan from getting involved. They were completely allowed to get involved in a no disqualification match. So the referee is like, oh, that's right. Okay, I'll let him stay. And when we come back from commercial, the match part when I started, yeah, they're still there, so there's always that. So Joe, with the choke behind the referee's back, like I said, and they're working away at the arm of Lashley's. MVP kicks away at the arm, and he yanks the arm back to the canvas, and Lashley tries to fight his way out of the corner, and he does so until MVP kicks him in the arm. So he tosses Lashley unceremoniously through the middle ropes to the floor. MVP ends up picking him up, dropping him arms and ribs first on the guardrail. Tosses him in, gets a 2 off of that. Locks in a key lock. Lashley starts punching his way out. 3 big forearms, Euro to the DDP lariat, and of course, both men have the same idea. Both men go down courtesy of the double clothesline. So both are up at the count of 6, so they start trading punches. And we get the boo, yay, Lashley finally drops MVP with 1 final shot. So he whips him into a clothesline in the corner, and he catches the back elbow, charges in with the shoulder, charges in, eats the back elbow, MVP charges in, and he eats the spine buster, 1-2, and a kick out. So Kenny King grabs the foot when he's sitting up for the murder death kill in the corner. King gets kicked away, knocked to the floor, so he's out of commission momentarily. MVP hits the Yakuza kick, and the repeated clotheslines in the corner. Exploder suplex, goes for the drive-by kick, but Lashley kind of ducks it. And, of course, this allows for the murder death kill short version to connect, but it connects with sending MVP into Stifler, your referee. No referee. Eric Young runs in, grabs a steel chair, momentarily drops it, picks it back up, and he nails him in the ribs, hits him in the back, and ends up going for the pile driver. It gets stopped because Bobby Roode runs from the back and nails Eric Young with the clothesline, sends him over the top rope to the floor. They brawl to the back. MVP charges in, and he gets caught with a very awkward spinning neck breaker by Lashley. No cover because no ref. So he charges in with a clothesline on MVP in the corner, and he whips him in. MVP with a tip-up, lands up on the shoulder. Lashley going for the over-the-shoulder power slam, and he connects. Kenny King pulls the referee and decks him anyway. So, okay, fine. Joe comes in, and he nails the leaping back kick into the corner, and Gunner comes out to fight Joe to the back, and that's exactly what he does. Kenny King heads up top, he gets caught, and a very awkward hot shot sends him out of the match. MVP with a boot hits the play of the day, which we haven't seen for a long time. Still no ref. Brian Hebner slides in and makes the cover count, but no. Still, Lashley kicks out. So MVP grabs a steel chair. He goes to swing it, and out of nowhere, Drew Galloway comes in with a big boot and lays out MVP. Furthermore, continuing what he did last week when he legitimately busted open a low key with a pipe. So the big boot allows for MVP to be down. Lashley sets up in the corner, hits the murder death kill, and breaks MVP in half, 1, 2, 3, and retains the TNA World Heavyweight Championship. I know it was heavy on interference at the end, but when you have a stable, you obviously have to neutralize that stable in order to get a clean victory for your babyface champion, or your face in peril in this case. I like this, actually. I like the match a lot. MVP is great. I really like MVP a lot. I've liked him in WWE. I liked him when he was coming up in Deep South. I loved his stuff in Japan when he was Intercontinental Champion. I like MVP a lot. So yeah, this match was fun. What I'd recommend on this show, without a doubt, I definitely recommend Austin Aries and Samoa Joe. That was fun. The main event was good with Lashley and MVP. Everything else, honestly, I know it seemed like a lot of filler, but it was fun filler, and it was storyline progression. Obviously, we're continuing the feud with Rockstar Spud and Mr. Anderson against Ethan Carter III and Tyrus. Like I said, I think we're going to lead to a Spud and EC3 hair versus hair match down the line. I think before this year's over, that does end up happening. If they're the TNA pay-per-view, I think that's a Bound for Glory match, without a doubt. I do like the fact that Kurt Angle's still showing that he wants the TNA World Heavyweight Championship by any means necessary, so they booked a match. You're going to have Bobby Roode, Eric Young, and Kurt Angle next week, three-way dance, and the winner becomes the new #1 contender to Lashley in the TNA World Heavyweight Championship. I'm really excited about this match. Plus, Taron will finally defend the Knockouts Championship against Kong, so that finally happens. And next week, more title matches. The Wolves, Davey Richards and Eddie Edwards, take on the TNA World Tag Team Champions Abyss and Cowboy James Storm of the Revolution. I'm really looking forward to that. Should be a fun match, as it always is. Like I said, a lot of filler here is what you would think, but it all had a point, and it all built towards the main event. Everything, all the various segments were all leading towards the main event and showing why Lashley tried to tell Kurt Angle he didn't need help. Angle didn't give him any help, but Drew Galloway did, so that's interesting. So yeah, I'm curious to see what happens with that. Drew Galloway, of course, has now thrust himself in the main event picture of TNA, and deservingly so. Drew Galloway is a untapped potential, kind of like MVP, and definitely like EC3, that TNA is going to utilize to the fullest of their capabilities. That was Impact for this week. Yeah, like I said, 2 solid shows. I enjoyed both of them. Enjoyed some of the matches from the entire video, I would say. If you want to check out anything, I would definitely check out Bayley and Becky Lynch, and Finn Balor and the Brian Kendrick on NXT, and MVP and Lashley, and, of course, Samoa Joe and Austin Aries on Impact. So that's what I would check out. So, yeah. That's your TNA and NXT video for this week. Join us tomorrow. We're going to be doing a vlog of randomness. Disney just raised their ticket prices. Universal had to follow suit, so I'm going to talk about that tomorrow. Brand new sip and snack this week. We're going to be looking into Ski, and we're also going to be looking to Kickapoo Joy Juice. So yes, 3 bottles, and I have to find a bottle opener. This is going to be amusing. That'll be your sip and snack for Thursday. Friday, AJ's Movie Reviews will be talking all about Unfinished Business and Chappie, and potentially the second best exotic Marigold Hotel. I don't have that information as of this moment. We'll find out sooner rather than later. And there's a couple other things. I know Clown is possibly going to be on that video. Black Sea could possibly be on that video. Tune in and find out. Saturday, brand new edition of Gaming with Dash, and Sunday, brand new Versus. Looking forward to it. Your cryptic comment is radio. So yeah, I know it's obvious, but it's okay. So that's what we've got for this week, and more Halloween Horror Nights videos coming very soon. Monday, question mark. I don't know when Monday's going to be yet. You'll have to tune in to find out. So as always, if you like these videos, tell your friends about them, leave a comment. Do subscribe, help spread the word about Pop. If you haven't yet, go to Facebook and go ahead and click like on our Facebook fan page. It's a cool thing to do. It's Sir Owen Disney Pop. If you want to follow me on Twitter, it's at Sir Owen Disney. Friend request me via Facebook at Owen Disney. And last but certainly not least, you want to send your thoughts, comments, queries, and opinions. You want to talk wrestling with me, either TNA, or if you'd like to talk NXT with me, talk about other wrestling with me, we're going to talk about that. We can talk about movies, you want to do that. We can talk about music. You can ask me questions if you'd like to. You can give me ideas for the vlog of randomness, or the sip and snack, or Versus. If you have any ideas, you can send them my way. Or if you want to talk Halloween Horror Nights, we can totally do that. Or if you have a podcast, a wrestling or a theme park podcast, and you would like Sir Owen Disney to be a part of it, I'm actually going to be guesting on another podcast very soon. Once I find out more information, I'll get that information out to you guys. So, for those of you out there that want to see Sir Owen Disney on Orlando United, or WDW Today, or Parkscope, or the WNS Podcast, or the Trey and Adam Show, please, by all means, let them know. Check out their various Facebook and Twitter pages, and let them know you want Sir Owen Disney as a part of their show, and hopefully that'll happen. So that being said, also, if you'd like to become a popcaster, you want to be part of this popcaster revolution, you're more than welcome to send me an email. And how do you send me an email? That's simple, SirOwenDisney@gmail.com. So in the meantime, I want to thank you guys and girls out there for watching, and until tomorrow, boys and girls, that's all I got to say about that.